Farewell, My Concubine is a renowned Peking opera that recounts the tragic love story between Xiang Yu, the hegemon king of Western Chu, and his beloved concubine, Consort Yu. In 1924, during the Beiyang government era in Beijing, a mother and her son watched a street performance by three young Peking opera performers. Rocky intervenes, creating a distraction to allow one of the kids to escape. Later, back at their living quarters, the master punishes Rocky and the entire troupe for the stunt. The mother, witnessing the consequences with her son. Beanie, a 9-year-old boy with an extra finger, is sent by his prostitute mother to the Pear Garden for theater training. She can no longer disguise him at the brothel house. The master rejects her request, citing Beanie's extra finger as potentially scaring the audience. She heartlessly removes Beanie's extra fingers with a kitchen knife. Beanie screams in pain as his thumbprint is pressed onto the deed of sale, selling him to the theater. His mother leaves him behind. On his first night, the other boys bully him, but Beanie remains silent and burns his mom's coat. Rocky tries to help, but Beanie refuses. The rigorous training begins, with Beanie strapped to the wall to force his legs into splits for muscle stretching. Another kid beside Beanie comforts him during this ordeal. Beanie watches as the other boys practice, while Rocky gets punished for slacking off. Beanie offers him a blanket to keep warm, showing a small act of kindness amidst the harsh environment. Over the years, due to Beanie's feminine features and elegance, he is chosen to play female roles. The master pressures Beanie into admitting that he is female. Beanie continues to rehearse his role, enduring beatings from the master multiple times. Rocky then patches up Beanie's hand and suggests Beanie read the lines as if he were a female character. One day, another child performer, Lazy, who is searching for candied haws, finds an opportunity to escape with Beanie. Rocky chases after Beanie but lets him go. Encountering a renowned Peking opera actor and listening to a performance of Farewell, My Concubine, Lazy and Beanie start tearing up while watching, pondering when they will have the opportunity to become the lead performers themselves and contemplate the amount of beating the performers must have endured during their intense practice sessions. Beanie realizes that artistic excellence can only be achieved through rigorous practice, so he returns to the theater troupe with Lazy. Returning to the theater troupe, Rocky is punished for releasing Beanie. To protect his senior brother, Beanie takes full responsibility and lays on the bench. The master brutally beats him for attempting to run away. All the kids kneel in fear. Lazy, consumed by fear, watches from the side and continues eating. Rocky, unable to bear Beanie's punishment, begs the master to stop. In the chaos, Lazy commits suicide out of fear of punishment. The master teaches them about the story of Xiang Yu, the hegemon king of Western Chu. When his rule comes to an end, Xiang Yu is left with only his horse and Consort Yu, both refusing to leave him. Ultimately, Consort Yu dances for the king and then uses his sword to end her own life. Beanie, who has experienced life and death, understands the master's heartfelt teaching. One must make sacrifices for oneself. If you want to be respected in public, you must endure suffering in private. This lesson teaches him a tough mindset. A manager arrives to select a few elite performers, and he chooses Beanie to read a few lines of a female role. Beanie still can't distinguish between stage performance and real life, mispronouncing gender-referenced lines. Master begs the manager not to leave. This time, Rocky punishes Beanie with a tobacco pipe. Out of the blue, Beanie starts reading the same lines again, correctly for the first time. The theater is called to perform at the palace by the old eunuch Zhang, who specifically requests to hear Farewell, My Concubine. Beanie and Rocky perform for the first time on stage. Beanie's outstanding performance and his appearance clearly confirm the eunuch's intentions. At the eunuch's house, Rocky deeply admires a sword and declares his determination to possess it, envisioning himself as a king with Beanie as his consort Yu. Beanie responds by promising to gift him the sword one day. A meeting is arranged after the performance, and their master requests that Beanie and Rocky go together. However, a man suddenly piggybacks Beanie away. Beanie meets eunuch Zhang. Feeling uncomfortable, he attempts to leave. The eunuch starts chasing the young boy and assaults him. Rocky waits for Beanie outside, but Beanie refuses to speak about what happened. After the harrowing incident, Beanie encounters an abandoned baby in distress. While the master believes in fate, Beanie feels empathy for the child and insists on bringing him back to the theater troupe. As spring turns to autumn in 1937, just before the Marco Polo Bridge incident, Beanie adopts the stage name Dee, and Rocky becomes known as Lu. Modern services emerge on the streets of Peking. On their way to the theater house, the manager informs them that the old eunuch's residence has been demolished. The day before, Dee searched for a sword but was unsuccessful. Their performance of Farewell My Concubine becomes renowned in the capital city, with Dee's portrayal of Consort Yu earning particular acclaim, almost like a reincarnation of the character. This earns the appreciation of Mr. Yuan, who bestows many treasures and artifacts upon them. Mr. Yuan invites both performers for a drink, but Lu declines. Dee hesitates before responding. Later that night, Lu intervenes at the brothel to rescue June from harassing clients, claiming they are celebrating their marriage. Dee overhears the events at the brothel. Lu teases Dee about accompanying him next time, but Dee becomes upset. Lu apologizes, and Dee reminds him of the master's advice on consistency and loyalty. Dee asks Lu to perform with him for a lifetime. Lu acknowledges this, but advises Dee to remain logical in reality rather than being obsessed. June decides to leave the business, handing over all her properties and earnings to the brothel boss. Dee's outstanding performance earned praise from the crowd, prompting Mr. Yuan to rise from his private booth in appreciation. June, barefoot, finds Lu and informs him of her expulsion from the brothel due to her engagement. Dee senses tension in June's presence, but politely greets her before excusing himself. June asks Lu about their marriage proposal. Lu reaffirms his commitment, cheered on by the crowd. Dee bursts into the room, hurling a pair of shoes and demanding to know where June acquired her acting skills. Lu asks Dee to be a witness at his wedding, but Dee declines. As Lu walks off with June, Dee implores him to stay. Dee mentions Mr. Yuan's invitation. Lu acknowledging himself as the fake king and Dee as the true consort Yu. Dee finally finds the swords he's been searching for, surprisingly at Mr. Yuan's house. After some drinks, Dee tries to slit his neck with the sword, but Mr. Yuan intervenes and shows his affection for Dee. Dee returns to Lu's wedding night and gifts the sword to him, but Lu doesn't recognize its significance. Upon realizing Lu is indifferent to their shared past, Dee decides to sever ties with him. As he leaves, Japanese soldiers enter the city. Dee continues to perform as a solo act, captivating the crowd with his talent. Among the cheering audience include a high-ranking Japanese officer who also shares a passion for Peking opera. The Japanese officer tries on Lu's wardrobe before the show, refusing to remove it afterward. Lu strikes the officer on the head. Upon hearing that Lu is in trouble, Dee swiftly dresses to rescue him. The manager frets over the possibility of Dee not returning, which would leave the Peking theater without a show. Just then, June rushes in, imploring Dee to save Lu immediately. In response, Dee feigns indifference, casually removing his clothes as if unconcerned. June makes a promise to return to the brothel immediately if Dee goes to rescue Lu. Dee complies and performs for the Japanese officers, resulting in Lu's release. However, upon being freed, Lu angrily slaps Dee for performing for the Japanese. June quickly comforts Dee and rushes after Lu. Shortly after, June marries Lu, breaking her promise to return to the brothel. She urges Lu to stop performing to avoid future trouble. Dee, devastated by this betrayal, falls into the arms of Mr. Yuan, even resorting to smoking opium. Lu finds himself lost, uncertain of how to live a normal life without performing. The master calls for a meeting with Lu and Dee, now much older, and expresses his disappointment in their current paths. He scolds them for forgetting their true calling. The master acknowledges Dee's success, but urges him to help Lu, as they used to stick together as kids. He proceeds to beat Lu. June tries to intervene, but ends up getting a front row seat to the punishment. In an attempt to deflect the master's anger, Lu reacts impulsively, slaps June for interrupting the master. In the heat of the moment, he learns that she is pregnant. The scoldings continue, and the master reminds them to stick together. The master continues to train opera performers diligently until one day he passes away during a training session. Lu and Dee arrive to disband the pair garden, but a young boy insists on kneeling for 7 days as the master instructed. He's an orphan with nowhere else to go and needs to perform. Lu and Dee realize that he is the baby Dee rescued years ago. They take in the boy, Xiao Si. In 1945, after the end of the Second Sino-Japanese War, Dee and Lu were forced to perform for a group of undisciplined and uncultured nationalist soldiers. When Dee is harassed by the soldiers with flashlights, Lu politely tells them that even the Japanese soldiers did not behave in such a way and asks them to return to their seat. The comparison to the Japanese leads to a severe confrontation with the soldiers. In the chaos, June suffers a miscarriage from being beaten when she tried to help, and Dee is denounced as a collaborator and arrested. June, feeling that bad luck follows Dee, convinces Lu to promise her to part ways with Dee after the rescue, and they will no longer owe anything to Dee. Lu tries hard to save Dee, pleading with Mr. Yuan. June interrupts, and they concoct a lie about Dee singing under duress by a gun. June informs Dee of the plan, subtly suggesting that their joint performances have only caused trouble. She hands him a letter indicating parting ways from Lu. In court, Mr. Yuan and Lu fabricate a defense for Dee. When questioned by the judge, Dee is honest, admitting he doesn't like the Japanese, but he wasn't beaten. He did meet with them, and if he survives, Peking opera will spread to Japan. He boldly declares, "Just kill me." Mr. Yuan departs, convinced that Dee is doomed. An officer bursts into the courtroom, whispering urgently to the judge. The case is swiftly declared closed, and Dee is released. Dee marks the second significant stamp in his life. His skills lead to his rescue by high-ranking officials of the Republic of China. In 1948, as the Republic of China government prepared to retreat to Taiwan, Dee lived a luxurious and indulgent life, resorting to opium and damaging his voice. Lu owned a watermelon stand. They also encountered Eunuch Zhang on the street, not recognizing the opera performers. In 1949, after the Communist Party came to power and Mr. Yuan was persecuted, Lu and Dee took the stage once more. However, Dee's smoking has taken a toll on his lungs, affecting his vocal performance. Despite their concerns and expectations of trouble, the crowd surprises them with applause. This moment prompts Dee to realize it's time to quit smoking opium. When his addiction becomes uncontrollable, Lu assists in restraining him and goes out to get medication. June steps in to take care of Dee in Lu's absence. Xiaoxi returns cheerfully, lying about being at the parade, and June instantly slaps him. With the couple's help, Dee successfully quits. However, conflicts arise with Xiaoxi, the child they once adopted, who not only seeks to change the tradition of Peking opera, but also views the traditional educational methods of the theater troupe as oppressive relics of the old society. Xiaoxi is determined to remove Master Di and force his way into the role of Consort Yu alongside Lu. In this era of revolution, Xiaoxi's contributions to the audience and the overall setup are notable. Initially, Lu adamantly refuses to perform without Di, but Jun's abrupt intervention changes his mind. With others echoing her sentiment, refusing to sing is counter-revolutionary. Xiaoxi already assumes the role of Consort Yu on stage. As Di personally hands over Lu's headpiece and walks away, the king begins to sing. Lu arrives to apologize and urges Di to yield, emphasizing that society has changed and they must adapt. He reminds Di of their master's teachings that the show must go on regardless of circumstances. In a fit of emotion, Di sets his wardrobe on fire. In August 1966, the Cultural Revolution erupted, targeting Peking opera and traditional culture for promoting feudalistic ideologies. Many performers faced persecution, including Jun, whose past as a prostitute would draw intense scrutiny. Di watched as the couple burned their belongings and props. Xiaoxi raised ideological issues regarding Lu, a renowned performer during the Republic of China era. Lu, coerced into falsely accusing Di, refused to yield. All Peking opera actors were labeled supporters of the old culture and subjected to struggle sessions. At that moment, Di appeared in Consort Yu's attire, bravely enduring humiliation alongside Lu. Witnessing Di's voluntary sacrifice, Lu falsely accused him, even alleging bestiality. Devastated, Di felt Lu cared only for Jun. Despair in both love and art, Di exposed Jun's past as a former prostitute, leading Lu to publicly distance himself from her. In an era torturing human nature, Jun took her own life by hanging. Di rushed over, screaming in anguish. Xiaoxi, after seizing Di's precious items, was also denounced by others and couldn't escape the fate of being targeted in the ongoing mutual struggle among people at that time. In 1977, Beijing, two Peking opera performers known for their portrayal of the king and the consort reunited after 22 years apart. As China entered the era of reform and opening up, traditional culture began to revive. Di and Lu, who had weathered many societal changes, found themselves rehearsing to perform Farewell, My Concubine once again, 11 years later. Di's emotions remained unchanged. During rehearsals, Lu recited a verse from their childhood, reminding Di of the days when he refused to perform as a female. Suddenly, Di realized he was ultimately a man, and his love for Lu was merely a beautiful yet heartbreaking illusion. Di finally awakened from the dream, but had already given his all. He used the precious sword he had gifted to Lu to end his own life, forever immersed in the blood-stained love, like Consort Yu, unchanging. In shock, Lu cried out, "Di!" then softly said, "Beanie." Di concluded his performing career in the embrace of his senior brother Lu. For upcoming content, click like, pound that subscribe, and hit notification. Thank you for watching.